Hello guys, I know I haven't been uploading Clash Royale videos for a while, but we're back again today and we have SB. This time he showed us a few replays on how to play this Mega Knight Minor Wallbreakers deck. Alright, so without further ado, let's start off with a big game here against Faust. So we all know that he's a top ladder player, so let's see how SB plays this matchup here. Okay, so I guess for most decks, we see how SB plays. He's just basically figuring out his opponents. But again, on top ladder, if he already knows what his opponent is playing, then it's also okay to go in early. Okay, so we see a very common play here, Wallbreakers at the start. Unfortunately, the Mega Knight did not position well enough, so the Ram Rider gets a chip there. Okay, we can see that because SB's deck has has bats and goblins. Right, so he kind of abuses them depending on what spell the opponent has. So usually we don't see too many 3-spell decks at the moment. So let's say if the opponent has Zap, then he would make full use of his goblins. If the opponent has Barb Barrel or Lock, then he will make full use of his bats. So we can see over here the opponent has Barb Barrel. So you can see in this case SB gets a lot of value with his bats throughout the game. Alright, so he took a bit of damage here at the start, but it's not so bad. So you already figured out that the opponent is playing this Battle Healer Ram Rider kind of deck. He has a good response to the Ram Rider in terms of Mega Knight and Mini P.E.K.K.A. And he has enough ground also for the Bandit, with Miner and sometimes Goblins. So again, we'll see how he approaches this matchup here. So he basically wins this in one huge push, which is gonna come up real soon. So sometimes it's good to go in single elixir, especially if your opponent is playing a heavy deck. So we see here he goes with the Mega Knight at the bridge to stop the battle, and over here the bats are key, right? So he also has a very good gauge of the opponent's elixir, so he knew that when he played the bandit it was slow. So we could see that he played almost all his ground troops, and SB won the bridge battle over here. And upon seeing that barrel come in, he decides to go all in here with the Wallbreakers. So basically he took tower in this push, which puts him in a very good state towards the end. So you can see that this deck is actually sometimes good in single elixir, especially when your opponent overspends and overcommits. So it's also very important to note what kind of ground troops your opponent has, because the Mega Knight and Mini P.E.K.K.A. are very good forms of pressure if your opponent does not have any form of ground defense at the moment. Alright, in double elixir now, let's see how he handles this big push. So we see he has the Mega Knight in hand, but he cycles bats in the back first. Alright, so we see here comes the Ram Rider, but he still has a Mini P.E.K.K.A. for defense. He takes one charge, so it's not the end of the world. Again, you can see that he has elixir in hand, but he doesn't like spend it all at once. So he's really patient, and over here he just sends a defensive miner because with 30 seconds left, he most probably doesn't have to do anything else on offense. So he's basically fully focused on defense, and again because Fireball doesn't actually take out the Muskie, he's got to get like a little bit of the Ram Rider chip. So he's quite confident that he can defend. He decides to Mega Knight early in case the opponent decides to put any other troops, because the charge is not going to kill him. Over here it gets a little sketchy at the end, but because time is almost up, he just gets his Mini P.E.K.K.A. on the tanks in front, and then with the Zap, kind of buys him enough time to get the game won. Alright, so a little bit of insight through this first game, alright, so I'll see you guys in the next game. Alright, the second replay that I'm going to share is against the Splash Yard deck. So it's a very popular graveyard deck for a long time now, whether it's Bomb Tower or Hut. Okay, so let's see how SB handles this matchup. Okay, SB also told me that against the Musketeer Skelly's variation, it's actually a much harder matchup or even a hard counter to this deck. So it's against the Splash Yard, you most probably want to take note of his ground troops. So when his Knight is not in cycle, you can actually abuse it with Mega Knights or Mini P.E.K.K.A. at the bridge. Because he only has Knight and a Barb Barrel for ground tank. So if they are not in cycle, they'll pretty much run a pressure early, which is what we'll see SB doing in this game. Okay, so we see the Knight coming, he's just gonna wait and then he's gonna Mini P.E.K.K.A. this. So we can see now the opponent actually doesn't have good ground, so he's gonna force to overspend on defense here with a Baby D and maybe even an Ice Wizard here. Okay, so SB can pretty much handle all this with just a Musketeer. Okay, and then the opponent would poison over here, so SB is kind of up in elixir, that's why he went there with the Mega Knight. So again, a very good understanding of the opponent's elixir. Seeing that the opponent didn't do anything, he most probably gonna tornado, so that's why he sent in the bats late. And over here, he does a lot of damage, and he still sends in the additional Wallbreakers, because the bats are tanking, so the Wallbreakers are gonna get a hit. So over here, he basically takes tower in single elixir. Alright, so the opponent overspent to defend that Mini P.E.K.K.A. and the additional poison against the Musketeer, so he was really low, that's why SB knew it, and then he went in with the Mega Knight at the bridge. And seeing that the opponent didn't do anything, he decides to send in the bats a bit late, so they can't all be NATO'd at the same time. Right, so that's something we can also learn. Okay, so Step Goblins are actually a very good form of graveyard defense, because let's say they use a graveyard poison, that's 9 elixir. Your 2 elixir push for defense can actually handle it pretty well. If it doesn't poison, then that's 2 elixir for 5, and then that's a very good trade for you. So we'll see how SB handles some of the graveyard pushers later. But basically, again, he did such good damage in single elixir, he's pretty much comfortable defending the entire game over here. So you gotta save like your musketeer for his baby dragon, because that's the problem, like your bats can't really handle it unless you have a ground tank. So SB is just basically cycling here at the back, and then the opponent's just trying to win the bridge battle over here. So SB goes in with the miner to take out the heart, because it can be quite irritating when you do not have poison. Again, he saves his musketeer here for the baby D. And then we can see that the opponent's gonna try to go in with the graveyard here, but SB blocks them all at the bridge with the Mega Knight. And then you can see over here what I was talking about earlier, the Step Goblins. 2 elixir defending 9 elixir. And then he plays the Mini Pecker just in case, because it's only 30 seconds left. So let's say if you didn't have elixir at that point, you could pretty much zap, as long as they don't have a ground tank tanking in front. Again, you want to keep your musketeer for his baby D. He's trying to predict a graveyard tank in front so that the musketeer can handle it, because it's only 11 seconds left, he just has to block the bridge. So again, your Step Goblins are a wonderful defense against the graveyard, especially if you can block the bridge. Right, so again, very good gameplay here from SP, and hopefully all of us learn a thing or two about this. I'll see you in the next game. Alright, so the next free play that I want to share with you guys is against iceball over here. So we all know how irritating it can be when they have all these defensive iceballs and then they try to rocket cycle you out. So let's see how SB handles this matchup over here. Okay, so we can see for most of SB's game, he's splitting Wallbreakers in the front at the start. So it's kind of a good play, because usually the opponent has to defend with more than 2 elixir. Okay, so we see a Tesla in the middle, so most probably it's gonna be some form of Expo. Okay, so he decides not to play in the back in case it's Iceball. Okay, so the opponent decides to over-defend that, because he doesn't want to take too much minor chip. So we see here SB just basically cycling troops in the back. So he plays his muskie low at the start. It's kind of fine, because in single elixir, if the opponent goes for the rocket, it can be quite risky for him. Okay, so SB has elixir here, but he decides not to put the Mega Knight at the bridge, but just defend first. So in general, in single elixir, that's what he's doing against defensive Expos. He's putting his Mega Knight into the same lane as the Expo and then try to take it out. But also in single elixir, it's not so easy for him to cycle a second Expo, right? But in double elixir, that's generally what you want to do. You have to take out the Expo, if not, it can be quite dangerous. Okay, so the opponent knows it's a dead Expo and he can't cycle back to another one, so there is no point defending it anyway. So they both kind of reset over here. But seeing that the opponent just played his knight, so SB goes in hard with the miner in the back and the mini P.E.K.K.A in the front, because he knows that the opponent has to NATO the front away, so that way the miner can get additional damage at the back. Okay, so he uses his musketeer here to handle both sides, instead of using like Step Goblins on one side. So again, a very good play here from SB. So we see that the opponent's getting to double elixir, which is most probably what he wants over there. SB goes in with the Mega Knight in the front this time, because the Muskie is still kind of healthy. Then he goes in with the bats to force out a tornado. Okay, so the opponent defends really well here, and then they're all back. But this time it's double elixir. So in double elixir, the matchup slightly handled differently from SB here, because he knows if he needs to break through, he needs to get a good double lane pressure. Because Ice Wiz Tornado gets too much value in one lane, as well as the opponent having rocket, so he can't build up too much of a big push. Okay, we see how SB handles this. He usually wants to get his musketeer down behind his ground tanks to take out the Expo, because the opponent can't really deal with a musketeer behind the tanks, because he wouldn't have enough elixir. So that is generally how you want to approach Expo matchups, to abuse your musketeer behind the tank. Again, SB sends a miner in the back, because he knows that the opponent has to tornado the front. So a good zap allowing the Wallbreakers to get one shot over there. Okay, so he did damage over there on the right, but we can see over here he decides to go again with the Mega Knight in the back, same lane of the Expo. So that's generally how he handles all these defensive Expos. Okay, and then once the Mega Knight tanks for the Expo, he can put his support troops behind. Again, you want to try to take out the Expo over there So the opponent looks for the rocket value, but unfortunately for him, he misses that musketeer. So the musketeer gets on the tower and does quite a lot of damage here. So the opponent goes with the aggressive X-Bow, SB again goes with the Mega Knight in the front, and then we can see again the musketeer comes down just before the knight, and that handles pretty much the entire X-Bow. So he decides to play a mini P.E.K.K.A and a Zap just in case, but he was pretty much fine. Okay, so now he did more damage on the left than the right, so he's trying to attack there. Okay, we can see now for the next push he's gonna build up a nice double lane pressure here. So for this time he goes opposite lane of the X-Bow, and then because we know that the opponent has rocket, you cannot stack too many troops in the same lane as your ground tank. So he just plays a musketeer over here. And again, a very good understanding of the opponent's cycle. The opponent uses lock, so immediately he goes in with the mini P.E.K.K.A plus the stab goblins, and then the minor tanking as well. And then he goes Wallbreakers on the left side, and then the musketeer is still on tower, and after the NATO being used, he sends in the bats. So that's very well played and a very good understanding of the cycle. So that's generally how you want to handle all this iceball with all these defensive expos. Alright, okay, then we'll see you guys in the next game. Alright, the last game that I want to share is just like a bonus clip against this Lava Hound matchup. So again, this is quite a common Lava Hound deck at the moment. SB practically won this in the first push. So let's see how he handles this matchup. Again, this one's pretty much similar to Iceball. Like, you gotta take note of the ground, because in this Lava Hound deck, they practically have very little ground and not good ground defense against your mini P.E.K.K.A and your Mega Knights. Okay, so that's how he generally approached this matchup. Especially against Lava Hounds, because it's quite hard for you to defend an entire lava push with good air support behind. So again, SB has a elixir advantage here, so he goes in hard with the mini P.E.K.K.A and the stab goblins. The muskie survives, which is unfortunate for the opponent. So he went in all in here, and then he basically took the tower in the first push. Okay, so we're gonna just speed this up a little, and then we'll see how he handles a Lava Hound push. So he did a lot of damage here at the start. The opponent's gonna lava up later, so we'll see how SB handles that. So opponent is very wary of the tree crown, so he's gotta be careful too, because it's only at 2000 HP. So SB pressures the other lane to not allow him to build up a big push, because he knows that most probably he cannot defend a big Lava Hound push, so he goes in for the second tower as well. So we see the muskie there, so he knows that it's gonna be hard for him to defend for the next minute, so he's definitely have to go for the second tower. Okay, so again he goes in with the miner, he gets the tower here. Opponent goes in with with the big Lava Hound push. So again, SB is always trying to pressure to not allow him to get that big Lava Hound push up. So we can see he protects the muskie really well, and then he uses the miner to kite the air support as well. So basically he's just trying to hang on over here, and then he kites the troops left and right, so brilliant kiting there from SB, which allow him to get the win. But also very important is to give enough pressure so that the opponent cannot build up his big Lava Hound push with the miner and the poison. Alright, so that's it for this series of this minor Wallbreakers Mega Knight deck. I hope you guys like it, and I hope you guys learn a thing or two about this deck. Feel free to let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. I will forward the questions to SB if you guys have any questions, so please do let me know. So till the next time then, we'll see you in our next video.